Okay, so am I ready to start, Irina? Yeah?
Yes, you are.
Okay, fabulous. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Abby Mellick Lopes and I'm Course Director of Postgraduate Design Studies here at UTS. I'm just going to get my proper first slide up. Yeah, and so I will this evening be introducing you to our postgraduate course offerings and giving you a bit of an overview of the course. And we're very lucky to have two of our current students here to also chat to you about their experiences, Prao and Angelique. So we'll look forward to hearing from them. And then we'll open really to questions from you. I do like to say that it's really worthwhile following this link, which you'll find on the Master of Design site, to book a one-to-one consult with me, because we often find that that's very useful because people are coming from such diverse backgrounds. It's often really good for me to hear about what your needs are and how you've arrived at considering our course, and I can really help you to understand how we can actually meet your needs. So please do consider that. And just to note that we do have other colleagues here who can answer any questions about enrolment and course fees. So when we get to the question part, if you have those sorts of questions, please do pop them into the chat and we'll get them answered. Okay, so before we kick off the webinar proper, I want to acknowledge country, the country of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, upon whose ancestral lands our city campus stands. I'd also like to pay respects to elders, both past and present, acknowledging them as the traditional owners of knowledge of this land over which sovereignty has not been ceded. And just to give you a heads up that the session is being recorded, because you're typing your questions, your anonymity is protected. But we do need to let you know that that is what is happening. Okay, so as I'm sure you're aware, the UTS School of Design has a world-class reputation for design education in product, fashion and visual communication design. It's the top design school in New South Wales and is in the top 25 in the world, according to the World University Rankings by subject. So our postgraduate program is really building upon the success and the reputation and the quality of those undergraduate programs to offer 2 graduate certificates and 2 Masters of Design degrees in social and service design. These disciplines, social and service design, are really at the forefront of design, and the skills underpinning these disciplines are needed across a range of areas from government, business, health, transport, justice, insurance, finance and tourism, just to mention a few of the sectors that our colleagues and students come from and find work in. Our discussions with a range of design leaders has shown us that there's an international supply shortage of education providers globally who are adequately equipping students with these important and in-demand design skills. We're one of only 2 courses in Australia offering robust service design education, and the only one in Sydney and the only one that is offered face-to-face. So what sort of designing do social and service designers do? Well, you are here today undoubtedly because you're aware that design is changing. Designers are increasingly required to design digital and physical products that embody a more nuanced understanding of diverse service needs. Designers' service needs are diverse and complex, but clearly defined sets of human interactions that occur over time, from a first encounter through various touch points to an end point of a satisfying service delivery. Booking a hotel service requires service design, which is often very smooth and undisrupted, but so does interacting with a neonatal intensive care unit after just having given birth to a preterm baby in a remote community. As you can imagine, these are very different sorts of services requiring very different sorts of interactions and interpersonal engagements. Service designers focus on improving existing services, but increasingly creating entirely new services with a sense of social responsibility that meets the changing needs of society. To design services well, designers need new sets of skills and competencies, in addition to material design skills. At the forefront is a deep and empathetic understanding of people and how people try to meet their everyday needs. Accessibility, accountability, and coordination are all critically important human service areas that service designers need to be able to deliver in their designing. This requires social research, but also social engagement, talking to people, facilitating conversations with diverse stakeholders, and collaborating with others to work out what design is required in a particular situation to improve, change, support, or indeed introduce a new service. Service designers require a practice facility with these skills, which requires a range of concepts, tools, and methods that designers can deploy and modify as they need. And this is very much the sort of activity that we promote in our classrooms, in our workshops and studios. So service design is needed wherever organisations, government agencies or communities want or need to interact with customers, patients, students, citizens or groups of people to improve an existing service or to introduce a new one. Okay, so I'm now going to just introduce you to some of our team. Our staff are a collection of award-winning teachers, researchers, and professional designers, including the core staff here. So Cameron Tonkinwise in the top row is a leading service design expert and thought leader who's returned to UTS after a decade in the US, teaching at Parsons and New School in New York and Carnegie Mellon University, where he established design leadership as a discipline. And his work has had a really transformative impact on how designers are educated internationally. Also pictured is Lindsay Asquith with white glasses as director of the Design Innovation Research Centre and with a PhD in architecture and behaviour. Lindsay has led industry partnered research in public housing, health and justice. An example is a project exploring how design might help mitigate violence in hospital emergency departments. Her work delivers social design outcomes that have transformed the way that people, organisations and communities experience the world. Bridget Malcolm, just next to me, is a senior strategic designer, senior lecturer and an expert facilitator with a background in stakeholder engagement across the public and private sector. Bridget's passionate about supporting leaders to evolve their practice to address increasingly complex issues. And in 2020, Bridget led a project on preventing sexual violence for which the team won an Australian Good Design Award for social impact. So Bridget, Lindsay, Cameron and myself are joined by a team of committed sessional staff, including Lynn Way, who is an award-winning teacher and designer, and media production specialist, Simon von Wolkenstein, who are involved in teaching our second graduate certificate in design practice fundamentals. We also have a team of external professionals and adjuncts in the School of Design who are working in industry, including the CEO of the Centre for Inclusive Design, Manisha Amin. Dr. Manisha Amin is joined by Sam Yu, who is a futurist. We have adjunct Professor James DeVries, who is Director of Deluxe Associates, formerly of Second Road Consultancy and Harvard Business Review's Creative Director, and Sasha Abrams, a Senior Service Designer with Services New South Wales. So this team is representative of the sorts of leaders that we bring in to run studios and classes, and is set to expand as we develop further partnerships, looking for really unique experiences at the cutting edge of social and service design. Okay, so the experience of this team and our work specialising in social and service design, including some of the partners listed here, really informs our curriculum, which means that everything that you study will be based on real-world tested tools, methodologies, projects and partnerships, with an emphasis on social justice, social intelligence and sustainable futures. So we have 4 postgraduate courses, 2 graduate certificates, a Master of Design in Service Design, and an extended option, which is awarded if students wish to take 2 majors That second major would be electives from a broad range of possible postgraduate courses across the university in interaction design, in business, in a range. You have a range of options there. We also have some studio options which are emerging or will be offered next year. So again, please do book a one-to-one and I can talk through some of those options with you. So here's a bit of a map of our degree pathways. Students can come into our courses with or without a design background. The graduate certificates on the left are exit only, so you can do those graduate certificates and graduate with those. They can be done in a single semester full-time or part-time. So there's lots of options for the ways that you can actually do your course. Those without a design degree can be credited for one of their graduate certificates and come into the Master of Design core. Those with a design background can start in the Master of Design core, and we'll hear some of those experiences from our guest students, and then select a major from there. There are some quite sort of fast-tracked pathways here. So if you did the graduate certificate in social and service design and you had a design background, you could get a Master of Design in as little as one further semester. So again, meet me to chat about those options, because it's sometimes a bit difficult to tell from this map. And just one further thing to say about this is that we have different styles of classroom practice. We have seminar style presentations. So Service Design Foundations is an example of that, where you're led through content. There is readings. Concepts are extracted from those readings and brought to the classroom to really discuss with those in the class. We have a really robust discursive context there. Your classmates will be often mature professionals who have got a lot of expertise to bring to these discussions. So that is a seminar setting, a lot of listening and talking and reading and discussing. Then we also have studios and workshops, and that's more hands-on and applied and often in relation to industry partners. So there are different modes of learning in this course. So we have our classes on campus, as I said, in our shared design studio space at the UTS campus, Harris Street, Ultima. It's a great space, a large space, an adaptable space, and it gives students a chance to interact with others in a classroom setting. So we're also supported by online materials. So each subject has an online site which functions as a repository of course materials. That means you can go back and refer to the resources that have been covered in your class. Okay, so now I'm just going to dive into a little bit more detail about each of our courses. The Graduate Certificate in Social and Service Design. This is becoming increasingly an important offer. I'm speaking to more and more students from non-design cognate backgrounds who find themselves at work doing service design, but as someone who gave feedback yesterday, I didn't realise I was a service designer. I was just doing service design badly. So it's a really attractive option for those who are finding themselves needing to think through customer experiences, interact with a range of stakeholders and design services. Yep, so as I explained, there are seminars, workshops and studios. Those 4 subjects can be done full-time in one semester or part-time, and it's offered every semester. So there's lots of opportunities for you to think about balancing work-life to do the Graduate Certificate in Social and Service Design. Our content, as I said, is drawn from practical experience. So the Design Innovation Research Centre, which Lindsay was director of, as was Cameron, has done a range of projects, particularly public sector innovation. These 2 books have been produced from the Design Innovation Research Centre work. So that is where our curriculum is being built from. Very much focused on applied learning in a kind of workshop setting. So these are examples of kind of mirror boards that are used as a supplement for online learning. And as I mentioned, Lindsay Asquith's experience in designing for emergency room in hospitals is part of what students work on. And the assessments are geared toward the sorts of outputs that social and service designers generate. So in this case, this is an example of a visual communications student who came into a social service design context and designed outputs which are really modelling a student experience for a future campus for the Canberra Institute of Technology. So these are the sorts of assignments they do, and this is another example of a student who's developing a workshop for that project I mentioned, mitigating violence in hospital emergency departments. So yeah, these are the sorts of assessment tasks that you'll be involved in doing. And an example of a journey map for thinking through a stakeholder's experience of an emergency department. Okay, and then moving on to that core, I'm going to hand over to our guests to talk about their experiences here. There are 4 subjects in the core. Higher orders of design, which is really addressing inclusive design and inclusive co-design, problem framing, design and business, and organisational design. So how about Prao? Would you like to take over and share your experiences? That would be great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Abby, for having me. So I'm just starting my Master of Design extension with UTS this year, and I'm taking the 3 that you see here on the frame. So problem framing, design business, organizational design, and also service design foundations. And so a little bit about my background is I have an interior design background, and I've been working for about 10-something years. And as I felt that I was working sort of to a mature age in my career, I started like maybe most of you started deviating from maybe the core career that you were doing, and so I started doing other things that maybe involve more stakeholders and more service-oriented tasks. So I felt that I wanted to upskill my career in maybe honing on and finding more insight into service design and what it was about. And so the courses I've been taking have been really insightful and have made me really appreciate the service design perspective on problem solving, and also honing in onto how to directly apply that into sort of business strategies and organizational design as well. So at the moment, I think what's really valuable is the industry input balanced with the conceptual framework that we have in the seminar classes. It's really, really intense, but it's really valuable in that everything links together. So all the classes benefit and kind of have input into one another. And so I find that really, really great in applying that into my career in the future.
Thanks, that's so great, Prao. And I should just mention to the audience that if you have questions, you can type them into your the chat box. So please feel free, you don't need to wait till the end to do that. If you have any questions for our guests as well, our students, please feel free to ask. Yeah, thanks, Prao. Are you happy to hang around?
Of course.
Yeah, fabulous. And I'd also like to introduce Angelique, who is also one of our current students.
Oh, hi, everybody. As Angelique, and I originally had a one-on-one session with Abby because I had done an industrial design degree, and I was thinking of doing my honours in design. But when I spoke to Abby and we talked about what the Master of Design looked like, I got quite excited and thought, no, that's definitely a direction for me to go. And I'm almost finished for the year, and I've done 7 subjects and trying to figure out which direction, which pathway I wanted to go with the master's degree. And that's really helped me in knowing which direction. What I found was that my interest is more in the social side of design, but I'm also been learning a lot of this service side, which is good too, because then that gives me the option of working in different areas. I found that it's, you know, it's pretty easy to learn the tools and the methods of design. But what the master has done for me is really given me a broad understanding, a more holistic and deeper understanding of design, and also given me a language in which I can speak to non-designers, which has been fantastic, because non-designers tend to think of design as pretty pictures and pretty fonts. And so to be able to speak in a language that other people can get that really quickly has been invaluable. I found the lecturers to be extremely helpful and knowledgeable. There's such a wide degree of knowledge between the different subjects as well, which has been fantastic. So it's really stretched my understanding around design. What else can I tell you? I think at the moment that covers it. So any questions, I'm happy to help with that.
Thanks both. Can I actually ask you a question? Could you talk a little bit, about how you found the classroom experience? Because I think that is something that we have that's quite unique in this space, and how it's been to sort of be in a classroom with others. Yeah, just wondered if you could reflect a bit on that.
Sure. I've loved the different variety of the classes. So sometimes we've had lecture styles, other times we've had workshops, and then other times we're interacting on sort of the project together, which has been really good. So we're getting not only the cross-pollination of skills and knowledge from the lecturers, but we're also getting it from the other students as well. And having the mixture of that is really nice, because the lecture you're kind of sitting and absorbing, the workshop you're actually doing, which is that doing also adds to the learnings and the experience.
Yeah, thanks. Proud, did you have anything to offer? I'm not sure if either of you are working full-time, because there may be those in the audience that are wondering about the study load and how it feels.
So I'm actually working, well, hybrid, but full-time, but it's actually quite flexible, the classes, and the lecturers are really helpful. So what assessments you have in class, or the tasks that you're doing, you actually do it with them in class at certain classes, and your peers are also there to kind of help you have feedback on like what they're doing and if you're going in the right direction. So the load is, for me, because I'm taking 4 classes, it's actually quite heavy, but it's eased out by the kind of process that we have in class. So it's been really helpful.
Oh, thanks. That's great to hear. That's good. Yeah, I know it's intense, but we do have kind of flexibility. We try to recognize the capacity of what people are managing, and yeah, we have the option to do it less intense. Like you have both got quite heavy loads, but there is the option to sort of spread the subjects out a bit more should people want that. Fantastic. Okay, well, I might move on to the last few slides, and then we'll see how we're going for time. Yeah, it's a bit tight. So yeah, I'll just finish the few final slides, and then we'll see if people have any questions for us. Yeah, now I did just include this because increasingly we're finding, because, you know, the staff, myself included, are working on rather large projects. I at the moment are on 2 federally funded projects in an applied design research space, one looking at the transition to a circular economy, another looking at urban heat and its impact on housing and communities, particularly low-income communities. So both of those projects constantly are throwing up opportunities for students to do internships And this is an example. We did co-design workshops on site in the same place where you learn with New South Wales Circular. And one of our students was designed all the canvases for the workshops, got fabulous experience doing that. And these sorts of things are happening quite frequently for our students. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the service design major, just to say that something that our industry partners have really focused on is how little designers experience implementation. So often designers will design a service, hand that service over to a client or a partner, and then walk away. But increasingly, designers need to stick with their designs, iterate those designs, listen to feedback from their clients and partners, and work out how best to meet those iterative needs. So implementation is a really important part of what we teach, as is a diversity of service design tools, not just the customer journeys and the service blueprints, but really thinking about character and world building and unique ways of communicating designs, which are becoming increasingly important, that designers are able to advocate on behalf of their designs and to think about ways of representing their innovations in complex ways, and with a sense for language justice for very different and diverse stakeholders. And so these are the things we really dig into in our major. But please do come and speak to me and I can give you further detail about that. I was just talking about my projects, just showing you some of these. I mean, these projects are very much at the cutting edge of societal change in a space that we call transition design, in relation to the circular economy, moving from a linear economy to a circular economy. In sectors such as energy, we're moving to distributed networks. All of these big societal changes require social and service design. So again, I can talk to you more about those projects should you want to come and speak to me. So our students, our teachers, and our research is telling us that there are a number of careers that our graduates can move into. Service design is growing. You know, a lot of the time, user experience design is quite thin, and our graduates are bringing more to those sorts of roles. Strategic design, human-centered design, a range of diversity specialists are becoming more important in larger organizations. Research and change manager. I was talking about transition. So these are some of the spaces that our graduates can move into. We have a range of paid internships as well. So not just internships in relation to our projects, but also with NOUS consultancy. We have currently students with paid internships, graduate track position internships with NOUS. And so there are more of these opportunities emerging as well. And that's about it for my content. It would be great to hear from you if you have any questions. Our entry requirements are available on the website. Someone I had a one-to-one with this morning said, all of the information's there. It's so clear and so great. And I was, oh, that's good. But yes, again, if you have any questions, please do ask. If you have a design background, we like to see a portfolio. People often ask what sort of a portfolio. We're really interested in any research that you've done. So if you did a design project, rather than just focusing on the outputs, tell us about the end-to-end process, from the brief, from concept development to any, you know, research, user testing that you did. That's the sort of stuff we like to hear about. And we look for a statement, so a personal statement that tells us your reasons for wanting to undertake a study with us. What your background is very helpful, and a resume that explains your work history, but also any voluntary work, any outside work that you've done that you think would be relevant. Please do, get in touch. Now, if you are worried about your eligibility for this, please don't let that hold you back. Book a one-to-one to me and I can chat to you about that. I have said to our enrolment office that I want to see people's applications, even if it's not 100% clear that they're, you know, hitting everything here. I still would like to have a chat with you. Okay, so that brings me to our question time. Please type your question into the Q&A box. So, yeah. And we have a postgraduate course guide, which has got further testimonials from students, and you can scan that code to access that guide. Okay, so do we have any questions? For me or for Frau or Angelique? Don't be shy. It's a good opportunity. Just type in a question, or I don't know, Irina, can people also just vocalize their questions if they want to?
Yes, if anyone's feeling like asking the question, I can unmute the microphone and they're very welcome to ask.
It just takes one. So whoever asks the first question, I bet we'll get more after that. Ah, good. So Ryan has asked a question. Oh, we're getting some questions now about the sense of the reading load per subject. Now, I think that is a great question for you guys, for our guests. Do you want to answer Ryan's question, Frau or Angelique?
Sure. It really depends on which subject you're doing, because some subjects do require more readings than others. But for instance, the two that I'm doing at the moment, which is organisational design and business and design, I think there might have been only 2 or 3 readings. Most of the information came from the lecturers. And also we worked on a bit of business model canvas. So there was a lot of sort of hands-on kind of work rather than lots of deep reading. But one of the subjects, the Service Design Foundation, I think there was a bit of reading, and some of the other classes, it really depends on the subject. But yeah, not all subjects have a lot of reading.
And Frau, how have you found the reading load?
I think they were not bad at all, and compared to the content that was presented in the classes, because we have them online. Like you said, we have the Canvas material, which you can access whenever you're able to, you know, have a look at it. It's all there before all the classes, so you're able to review that at your own time or after you take the class, which I found very good in a way that maybe you don't understand a particular reading, but then taking the class and then coming back to the reading will also be as helpful.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks. I hope, Ryan, that helps answer your question. And we also have a question from Aulia about that you are, so you've got a bachelor degree in engineering physics. Can you apply for this program? Yes, you can. So the program is open to anyone from any background. It would be great if you book a one-to-one chat with me, and I can talk to you a bit more about why you've arrived at considering this program. But certainly, yes, as I explained, we have people from very diverse backgrounds coming in, and undoubtedly your 1-year experience with UX design will be helpful. Yeah, so the answer is yes. Do we have any other questions?
I'd just like to add that having the one-on-one with Abby was incredibly helpful in helping me make my decision. And it also gave me more insight than probably what you could get from the website or what you can get from even this half an hour informational session. So if you are interested, I'd highly recommend just reaching out to Abby and doing that. It helped me really make my decision.
Yeah, thanks, Angelique. Yeah, that's certainly true, and I would be very happy to speak to anyone who's interested. And Irina's just, realizing it will vary between classes. What's the class size? Oh, that's a good question, Ryan. So I mean, my class in first semester was 14, but I think that was on the upper end. So I think in design and business and organisational design, you've got between 8 and 12. Is that right? Yeah. So they're quite small class sizes. which, you know, is really great, I think, for the classroom experience, for allowing people to interact with the lecturers and developing a bit of a relationship. And also it's great for keeping an ear out for opportunities. You know, so I've had colleagues say to me, oh, blah, blah, in my class is really keen on this. Did you see that opportunity? And connecting people up with opportunities. So the small sizes are really great. Look, I don't know where things are going. Of course, the university will probably want us to grow our classes hugely, but I think, you know, you're pretty safe for the moment that our classes are modest and, yeah, it allows for a degree of intimacy. Does anyone maybe thinking, oh, I'd like to ask a question? Well, I hope this has been helpful to those of you here who are listening. Thanks very much for coming along. I hope to get a chance to chat to you. And Irina's also put that DAB communications email in the chat if you want to follow up at all or book a one-to-one with me. I want to thank profoundly Angelique and Prow for making the time to come and co-host with me tonight. I must say that all of our students have been incredibly willing to talk about the program with others, which we're really appreciative of. So thank you both very much. And thank you for attending. And I think that is, we'll call that a wrap, shall we, Irina?
Yep, if that's all the questions that you had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. And yeah, have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.